Monday's the greatest day of the week.
In the 70s, dads came with their own special set of habits. Part handyman, part philosopher, part TV remote gatekeeper. At the time, we thought every dad on earth did these things. Looking back, we realize it was just a glorious mix of 70s dad energy and a few quirks we'll never see again. 1. Yelling, "Ask your mother." This was Dad's go-to escape hatch. It didn't matter if the question was about going to a friend's house, staying up late, or eating ice cream before dinner. The answer was always, "Ask your mother." It wasn't laziness, it was strategy. He knew Mom was the true boss of the house, and he wasn't about to override her authority. Plus, it kept him from committing to anything that might later be called a bad idea. Like the time you wanted to roller skate down the driveway with a homemade parachute. Ask your mother bought him time to sip his beer, keep watching the game, and avoid the minefield of family politics. 2. Mowing the lawn.
Well, you just hop on your Toro and off you go. You can tell this baby was built to mow. Cuts over bumps in rough terrain. Works real hard, doesn't like to complain.
Saturday mornings in the suburbs had a soundtrack. The low rumble of gas mowers and the whiff of freshly cut grass wafting down the block. But for a 70s dad, mowing the lawn wasn't just maintenance. It was performance art. He had a system. Start with the edges, then work those perfect diagonal lines like he was laying down stripes at Yankee Stadium. And heaven help the kid who ran across it before Dad had finished admiring his handiwork from the driveway, hands on hips, nodding like a man who just completed the 8th wonder of the world. 3. Sitting in a recliner with a beer.
30 years ago, on a hot summer's day, your father taught you how to dig for clams. Now that it's a job, the sun seems hotter and the day longer, but the clams taste just as sweet. And now comes Miller time. Time to head for the best-tasting beer you can find.
Every dad had a chair, not just any chair. His chair. Usually a bulky, slightly faded recliner that had molded itself to his shape over the years. It was command central, TV remote, or in the 70s, the TV guide. Within reach, ashtray or peanut bowl on one side. A sweating can of Schlitz, Pabst, or Budweiser on the other. This was his kingdom, and you didn't sit in it unless you were feeling particularly brave. Even if you did manage to sneak into it, the moment you heard the refrigerator door open and the pop of a beer can, you knew your reign was over. 4. Folding the TV guide.
Censors. They are the abominable snowmen of the television business. Everyone has heard of them, but few people have seen them. In the beginning of a 2-part article, TV Guide talks to the men and women who review the scripts and programs before they go on the air. Find out who censors what we see and why in the new issue of TV Guide.
Before streaming, before DVR, there was the TV Guide. Dads treated it like an ancient artifact. The weekly issue would arrive and he'd sit at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, carefully folding the pages to mark the day's programs. He'd circle must-watch events, maybe Monday Night Football or a Columbo rerun, and somehow memorize the rest. Woe unto the family member who lost the TV Guide or folded it the wrong way. In Dad's world, a well-managed TV schedule was the mark of a man in control. 5. Watching football with one eye open.
Monday used to be a horrible drag for me, but not anymore. Why? Why? Because Monday night is NFL football night, that's why.
This was an advanced dad skill developed over years of Sunday afternoons. He'd lean back in the recliner, the game on, beer in hand. Eyes mostly closed. You'd think he was asleep until you tried changing the channel. Then, without even opening both eyes, you'd get, "Hey, I was watching that." It was baffling. Was he watching? Was he dreaming? Somehow he'd wake up exactly when the ref made a bad call or when someone fumbled. It was like he had a sixth sense wired directly to the TV. All right, here's the deal. If you've made it through this whole stroll down 70s dad memory lane without touching the thermostat, you've earned your spot. Hit that subscribe button and I'll keep firing up the grill of nostalgia. No shirt required. And if you're on Facebook, pull up a lawn chair and join our backyard party. We've got memories, laughs, and probably a guy in the corner fixing something with duct tape right now. 6. Wearing Brut by Fabergé.
That's just the way I am. I guess that's why I use Brut. I like the smell. I like the way it works, the way it lasts.
The green glass bottle, the silver chain medallion, the sharp, unmistakable scent that hit you like a linebacker and lingered in the hallway for hours. Brut wasn't just cologne. It was an announcement. Dad was going out. Whether it was date night with Mom, a bowling league meet, or a neighborhood BBQ, a quick splash of Brut meant business. And yes, he might have used enough to be detected from 3 blocks away, but in the 70s, that was the point. 7. Turning the thermostat down. The thermostat was the holy grail of household control. In winter, he'd walk by it, glance at the setting, and mutter, "What, are we heating the whole neighborhood?" Click, down it went. In summer, when you asked to turn the AC up, you got the classic, "Open a window." That's what God made breezes for. He treated the thermostat like it was directly connected to the family bank account, and maybe it was. Either way, you learned quickly that touching it without permission was about as safe as juggling lit fireworks. 8. Grilling shirtless.
Now you can indoor grill everything you used to broil with the Gen Air grill, because the Gen Air grill has its own ventilator built right inside.
Summer cookouts were a stage, and Dad was the star. Cut-off shorts, bare chest, maybe a visor, spatula in one hand, beer in the other. He'd hover over the grill like a scientist monitoring an experiment, occasionally flipping burgers with exaggerated precision. The smoke would billow, he'd poke at the hot dogs with tongs, and someone would inevitably ask, "Are they done yet?" To which he'd reply, "Almost," 5 more times. It wasn't just cooking, it was a performance, and the neighbors were his audience. 9. Fixing everything with duct tape. In the 70s, duct tape wasn't just for repairs. It was a philosophy. Chair leg wobbly? Duct tape. The family vacuum hose cracked? Duct tape. Your bicycle seat ripped open? Duct tape. The car's rear-view mirror dangling after an unfortunate run-in with the garage door? You guessed it. Dad swore by it because, in his words, if it's good enough for NASA, it's good enough for us. And you know what? Half the time, it actually worked. The Dad Lecture Starter Kit. Every dad had a few speeches on standby, ready to roll out at a moment's notice. The classic started with, "Back in my day," or "You know what your problem is," and could go on for a solid 15 minutes. These lectures often wandered from the original point into tales about walking to school uphill both ways, or how kids today didn't know the value of $1. You'd sit there nodding, not daring to interrupt, while silently counting the minutes until freedom. Oddly enough, some of those speeches stuck with us. Just don't tell him that. Back then, these weren't quirks. They were just how dads were. Now they're warm, slightly hilarious memories of a generation who ran the house with a mower in one hand, a cold beer in the other, and a roll of duct tape always within reach.